Hey guys, welcome to the Jake for the State podcast. We have a very special interview today. We have Attorney General Gentner Drummond. We're going to dig into all the issues that you guys are asking about, so stay tuned.
This is the Jake for the State podcast, and this is the call for every red-blooded, God-fearing, liberty-loving patriot to prepare yourself. Take your position. Stand your ground! And advance the cause of freedom. Let's go.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Jake for the State podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, Attorney General Gentner Drummond. Gentner.
Hey, good to be with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sitting down,
You bet.
answering some just direct questions that honestly people across the state are asking.
Sure.
And we're obviously coming up on the runoff just, 4 weeks away?
It is 4 weeks. I missed you and Nicole and Madeline. I would rather you and me be in a debate right now.
Right.
But we're not. So
Yeah.
thank you for this opportunity to answer some questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I feel like obviously the people of Oklahoma deserve to know who their options are. And that's the goal here, is to ask those direct questions, let you answer directly, and let the people decide. Sure. And that's what will happen here in just a few weeks. So you guys sit tight. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to cover everything from the aluminum smelter plant to the Oklahoma Cattle Association to the poultry to the Payne County Grand Jury. So we'll dive into it.
You bet.
Let's just start off with the recent forum you guys were all a part of, you and Mazzei and Munson. Munson was actually part of this recent one.
Right.
Was this the second one that she was a part of?
Right. Well, she was on one with you
Right.
and me a long time ago, and then this is the first one. And I think they just wanted some plurality at the stage and not have it be too contentious between Mike and me.
Yeah, exactly. And to see the clear contrast, you obviously were on stage with Mazzei and Munson, and of course the Cattlemen's Association. They withdrew support early on,
Right.
because of the situation with the poultry,
Right.
the lawsuit in Eastern Oklahoma. I want to get to that in just a minute, but I mean, what were you thinking coming into that? Were you hoping to win the room back over, or did you already have good support?
No, I mean, in 18, the Cattlemen Association endorsed Mike Hunter, and I carried all of rural Oklahoma. In 22, they stayed neutral, but the governor wanted them to endorse O'Connor. I won rural Oklahoma. They overwhelmingly endorsed me, 14, 15 months ago. And then with the lobbyists from out-of-state mega ag companies, pressure was put on leadership of OCA to withdraw that endorsement. In politics, we have thick skin, right?
Yeah,
and this one stung. My family has been raising beef cattle in the Osage since 1896.
Right.
I mean, my earliest recollection is horseback working cattle. So I've been doing this all my life.
Those are your people, huh?
These are my people, and the input. So at first I decided that I declined. I thought, I'm not going to honor the OCA with this. But just hundreds of cattlemen across the state said, "You are one of us. Please show up. Hold your head high. Answer the questions. You're the only one that's been on the back of a horse. You're the only one that has branded a calf. You're the only one who's castrated a steer. I mean, just be there and be yourself." And I thought, you know what, you're right. And so I appeared as a rancher who's also the Attorney General and answered the questions.
Yeah. It's a strong contrast right now. You mentioned the big ag, and of course in the poultry world, we're talking about Tyson and those big players. There's lots of conversation around those big four beef producers and how that's impacting the small guy, the guy with 500 acres or so and just struggling to make a living raising cattle. And, I'm just curious your take on this about ag moving forward with Oklahoma.
Right.
What does that look like?
So we've elected governors that don't have an understanding of ag and they may pretend to know rural Oklahoma, but they've never been there. I live in rural Oklahoma. I drove in this morning from our cattle ranch in Osage County. So I get it. My concern as a producer is the out-of-state mega corporations don't care about you and me. We are just commodities, and we need a governor that's in tune with that. So when, Cargill and Tyson and Simmons snap a whip and all the ag associations in Oklahoma stand up straight and say, "Yes, sir, we hate Drummond," that's just craziness. It's craziness. So, I've grown up in the country. My roots are in the country. As a governor, I will always put the rural interests of Oklahoma first.
Yeah. This is, I believe, what the majority of Oklahoma is rural.
We're mom and pop. I mean, this
Right.
is a family-owned operation. Yes, I've acquired a lot of debt to acquire more land, to acquire more cattle, but it is a family operation. While I'm in this role as Attorney General, my two sons are living on the ranch and working the cattle that we own.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the thing that directly impacts ranchers, farmers is land and property tax. And, Mazzei, of course, has laid out his idea for phasing out property tax for seniors and veterans, a ban on foreign ownership of land. What's your specific tax plan for Oklahoma farmers and ranchers?
Let's back up a year. When Mike was polling at 1%, he said, "Vote for me, zero income tax, zero property tax." His words, zero property tax. And then his handlers realized, we defund our entire educational system. We defund our sheriff's departments. We defund county government. We defund roads and bridges. And now he's changed. And what he's actually done is gone to my website and read mine. So I've been saying for 18 months, a freeze on fixed income citizens of Oklahoma, elders, that they not be priced out of their home, and that we include in that fixed income veterans. But also, what he's not saying and I'm saying is, right now our homestead exemption was set at $1,000 30 years ago. We can adjust that upwards to $2,500, $3,000. That's meaningful impact on the fixed income or low income Oklahoman to protect them. We don't need anybody priced out of their home at all.
Do you think it's possible to have a path toward eliminating a property tax?
We can only eliminate it if we tax something else, right? Schools are funded with property taxes. Career tech is funded with property taxes. So if we want to transfer, and this is the danger when you drink the Kool-Aid of Mr. Mazzei. He's saying, let's take this all down. But what he does is he transfers it to consumption. So if you're an Oklahoman making $75,000 or less, you will pay more in taxes under a Mazzei administration than a Drummond administration because of the consumption tax. Rich people, doesn't matter. Charge me for my haircut, charge me for my accountant on a tax basis, take away my tax exemption at my church. It's not going to affect rich people. It's going to affect Oklahomans. It's going to affect the people watching this podcast.
At the recent OCA forum, you gave the room an update on that a mediator has recommended dismissing the poultry case.
Right. So it's a huge development. Now, Simmons is family owned and can afford to outlast the second coming.
Major poultry supplier.
I mean, they're massive and they're private. They don't answer to shareholders. Every defendant came to the table early, 3 years ago, and said, let's find a path to land this plane. We're happy to pay a fine. We're happy to transfer the broiler litter out of the watershed. That's easy because there's a market in western Oklahoma.
For the fertilizer.
Right. I mean, there's a big market in the panhandle of Oklahoma and panhandle of Texas and western Oklahoma. Simmons was a holdout. So we finally just gave up when everybody had agreed except Simmons. We went to the district court judge and said, hey, here's a consent decree. He rejected it. But in that rejection, he gave us a lot of good points. And so Poultry and I sat down at the table again, and we reached a conclusion to tweak it to meet some of the expectations of the federal judge. And still, Simmons was a holdout. So I went to Tyson and said, hey, you figure it out on your side of the V. Come to me. I don't care what Simmons pays or doesn't pay. Just come to me with an agreement. And they came back and said, Simmons will sign on these terms. And I said, it's a deal. And we signed it. At this point now, we're at the 10th Circuit in Denver. And so the 10th Circuit judges have assigned this case to a mediator who is employed by them. The mediator has been working with us for over 9 months. And when we came to him with this plan, he said, this is a plan I can endorse to the judges, and they will dismiss the case once they've reviewed it and approved it. It doesn't go back to our district court judge, who's anti-poultry.
Okay.
I mean, he's anti-poultry.
When you say anti-poultry, anti-Tyson poultry, Simmons poultry, or
right. Not producers.
Right.
No, let me rephrase that. The integrators are the big guys, out-of-state corporations that are under contract. Now, it's important for your listeners to also understand this. The one deal breaker for me is Tyson's and Simmons, Cal-Maine, Georgia's had to renew contracts with every producer that they had. And they've agreed every producer's contract gets renewed when it comes up for a renewal.
And that's when we're talking about the actual Oklahoman producers, right?
So my emphasis, my objective has always been to produce the ag producer, to protect the ag producer, find a path where we can reduce the poultry waste in the river, the Illinois River watershed, and not injure the integrators. And we found that path, those three.
Okay.
So I'm very excited.
And this is recent as of this month.
This was like 10 days ago.
Okay.
Right. So it's huge.
We'll be trying. Yeah, for sure. Now we got to move, of course, to the other huge elephant in the room, which was the Trump endorsement, and connected, of course, to the other elephant in the room, the aluminum smelter plant. And
it is funny. I mean, Wendy and I have been giving to Republican candidates for 20 years. We've given, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but almost $250,000. To President Trump, we've given $75,000, right? I mean, he's a great leader. I love his policies. I should have given it to Roger Stone. And my political consultant said, hey, go hire, go pay for one of the people in his circle, and they'll whisper in the president's ear and you get the endorsement. I thought, that's not the American way. Mike, of course, paid Roger Stone like $6,500 a month, got it up to almost $70,000. And at 10 o'clock in the morning on May 28th, Mike posts, I have revisited this issue, and in the interest of national security against Iran, I'm going to endorse the smelter. Well, of course, the smelter won't be built for the next 2 years, and the war in Iran will be over, but that's his thing. At 4:30 that afternoon, President Trump said, full-throated, I'm for Mazzei. And that's sad. That's sad that the president is going to tell Oklahomans who to vote, and this individual sold out Oklahoma on the smelter. And I'm happy to talk about the smelter.
Absolutely. Well, you obviously have filed a lawsuit to shut it down. And of course, this is 5 days after the endorsement. And so
let's break that down.
Yeah.
In February, the smelter filed its initial filing with the state of Oklahoma, the Department of Environmental Quality, in February 16th. And in it, the only thing it addresses, the three sources of pollution, is air. It didn't address water or the sludge. The air, it says, we will produce 425 tons of particulate, fluoride particulate into the air every year. Now, companies like Williams Corporation, they produce 10, 25 tons of carbon monoxide. Right. That's different.
Yeah.
Right. That's a greenhouse gas that goes up into the atmosphere and affects, our temperature, allegedly, or if you believe that. I mean, sure. I'm not going to give you an opinion on that. The smelter produces a fluoride compound that goes out, drifts, and drops. So I was alarmed.
Yeah.
But I knew that they were going to file their final application on May 14th-ish there, May 18th. They file it. They still talk about 425 tons of aluminum particulate, nothing on water and nothing on sludge. I visited with the operators, the handlers. I was like, guys, you got to come clean. You've now filed your final application. You're going to start investing money, and you haven't answered those two important questions. And they said, we're not going to.
Just straight up, no answer?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
The president wants it and the governor wants it. So I filed the action as quickly as I could. It does look suspicious, but it's not suspicious. We got the information. We started preparing the petition immediately, and we filed it as soon as it was completed.
Okay. Since then, has there been any release of information as far as movement on cleaning up anything, or
no?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So this is what we do know. So the 425 tons will take Inola, the hay capital of the world, and make it Tart Creek 2. We know the Arabs they will not let anybody live within 5 miles of their plants. Inola is 3 miles from the plant. We know from our research that they're going to produce 55,000 gallons of wastewater every 2 hours. Inola produces 50,000 gallons of wastewater a week, every 2 hours.
Okay.
And we know they're going to produce 750,000 tons of sludge a year that the EPA does not let be put in a landfill. So that 350 acres, they're going to build on 40, and they're going to use 300 acres as a waste pit lined with cement to put their sludge in it over the next 50 years.
Is that spelled out in the plan?
No.
That is? No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they have no plan. They have not published a plan. I'm speculating the plant itself will be 40 acres. at max capacity. We know that from their other plants. They want 350. Why? To line it with cement and put their sludge right there.
Okay.
This will be Tar Creek too.
Right. Well, obviously, it's concerning to the people up in Inola.
Right.
And
as the chief legal officer for the state of Oklahoma, my statutory duty is to protect the consumer. There's one consumer protector in the state of Oklahoma, and it's me.
Yeah.
And whether I support the smelter or didn't, I have to do this for the citizens of Oklahoma.
Now, you mentioned, the Arabs, the Emirates Global Aluminum are the ones who actually own that in Dubai. And obviously this is a point of suspicion, contention. Here in Oklahoma, as we look at the spread of Islam across the nation, and now we're looking at a company that would own 60% of this aluminum plant here in the state. Is there concern with the influence of Islam connected to this aluminum plant? Is that even a factor in this conversation, or do you see that separate?
When Broken Arrow called this mosque development to my attention,
Right.
I pledged that we would investigate Muslim Brotherhood and the Council for Arab-Islamic Relations.
Right.
6 weeks ago, Council for Arab-Islamic Relations dissolved in the state of Oklahoma. You can draw the line. I start an investigation. It dissolves.
Wow.
That's me delivering on a promise.
So there's the fear that this aluminum plant could bring in employees from the Middle East or an Islam population. Is that a concern there at all?
I think it's certain. I mean, they own it.
Right. They can employ who they
I
want.
would think that their leadership is going to be there. So you've got 60% owned by a Muslim monarchy, for which we are giving $255 million of our tax dollars when it opens its door. We are waiving property taxes for 30 years. We have created a tax increment finance district for them, and the federal government has promised $50 million.
They got it made.
I mean, that's $1 billion underwriting, to quote the president, the richest people in the world.
Now, does it justify, if we consider this a matter of national security, do you consider this a matter of national security?
We have many sites in the United States that are already hazardous that humans can't live on. Where we did all of our underground atomic testing out in Nevada, everything within 75 miles of that site, nobody can inhabit. Let's put the smelter there. Honestly, I'm for it. Now, as your viewers do the research on the operator, the 40% owner of Aluminum Centurium out of Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere they have a plant in the United States of America, they've been fined every year for violation of air, water, and sludge. Every location.
Wow.
So to think that they're going to do something different in Oklahoma, I mean, if I were Inola, I would be selling my land right now. If I don't get the nomination, sell your land. Because if I get the nomination, I'll move this lawsuit into the governor's office to run it to ground to protect people in Rogers County.
Okay. Now, how does this compare or contrast with data centers? Obviously, a lot of the same concerns. Water pollution.
They are, but there's three distinctions. One, they're not foreign-owned. Even Williams Companies, a Tulsa-based company, is going to do 3 data centers in the southeast. So the concerns are three. One, we have to have local control. The state doesn't need to be waiving and making deals, sweetheart deals. The locals need to say, we accept it. And they can't waive the property taxes, right? We can't. Right. If you put a data center in Adair County, which is around Stillwell, and they built a typical data center, it would take the property taxes of Adair County and double the revenue. I mean, think what that would do for the roads and bridges, school system, the sheriff's department in Adair County. So it would double one data center. So ad valorem taxes have to be held in place, and the local community has to do it. We have to require them to bring their own power. That's my job. I've been fighting. A week ago, we finished 10 days of testimony against Google saying, hey, I just want to be a typical consumer and plug into PSO's power source, and then PSO has to build out, 125 megawatt facility for me. And of course, we're saying, no, that means we all pay for your power. So we're taking them to the Oklahoma Supreme Court, my objective is you pay for your power as it's built and as you use it. So that's number 2. And 3, we have to preserve our water. The technology is there for 2 things. 1, water recycling, so the water goes in and it's recycled. It's cheap, if we let the water in and let the water out, right? It's cheap for them. It's just in, out, in, out, in, out. We have to make them recycle it, or the technology is also there for them to use downwell water. Folks, we produce, for every gallon of oil, we produce 7 gallons of salt water. Let's use that salt water.
No, it makes sense. The energy aspect of it, that's something as I'm interested in. A lot of talk about the small modular reactors, the nuclear option. Do you see that in Oklahoma's future?
I think that it's going to be part of our power mix. I mean, we are Oklahoma. We're going to always be oil and gas.
Yeah.
Gas is clean and abundant. But instead of wind and solar, there's an alternative for nuclear. I'm not an expert in that space, so I can't tell you anything about it, but I can tell you that it's likely to be part of the future analysis.
Okay. Central to all this, obviously, we keep coming back to this issue of land. Property tax, the property values. You're saying that if you're not elected, sell your land because it's going to be detrimental to the people out there.
I don't want to be, I don't want to be alarmist, but if I'm not, they will not be protected.
Yeah, it's understood. But people in Norman are not feeling protected with the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority.
Right.
And so this is my next question is, where do you stand on this? How would your policy differ, or would it, from Governor Stitt? We have concerns about the fair market value being given to property owners and the abuse of eminent domain. What's your take on it?
I, as an individual, hate eminent domain. My cattle ranch, the ranch I grew up on, lost 2,400 acres to Lake Skytook and 1,500 acres to Birch Lake by the Corps of Engineers. We had no say, and we fought, and we went into federal court and fought because we didn't believe that the value of the land that they were taking from us was being recognized in the just compensation. So we fought all the way up. And every time I'm horseback on the east side of the ranch, and I look out there and I go, that was our vegetable farm. That was a wheat field. That was where one of our cowboys lived. And that breaks my heart. Now, so that makes me sympathetic to what's going on in Norman, and I think we were tone deaf. We were tone deaf. The folks that wanted a retirement home near a metropolitan area but in the country built east of Norman.
Yeah.
And that's where we're putting the turnpike. So there are more sparsely populated areas of Oklahoma that they could have chosen. I think it was very tone deaf to go right through these beautiful retirement homes and ranches of Oklahomans that wanted to have a piece of the world for them.
Right. Now, at the start of your term as Attorney General, then you activated an audit to look into the OTA. What were the conclusions? Do you see that there needs to be a change of direction because of those findings?
So my concern on the front end is we had the same gentleman, who's a lovely person, Tim Gatz. I don't have any criticism of Tim, but he's in charge of both ODOT, Department of Transportation, and OTA, Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. And my concern was that when ODOT was a little low on funds, we just moved funds over from OTA and vice versa. So I was profoundly concerned because Governor Stitt is pretty loose and fast with dollars, right? We saw that in COVID where, they were just handing out money like cocaine. And so I was concerned that they were there. Now, the auditor came back and said they had maintained integrity in these two columns. But a conclusion was the same person shouldn't be in charge of both. And so Mr. Gatz resigned, and now he's only ODOT. The governor appointed a new leader of OTA. I think we have to be transparent on OTA. You and I, if we were king for a world, we'd probably dissolve OTA. But then about $10 billion of bonds would come due. So we're stuck, and we have to have discipline to work through those bonds so that we stop taxing people to drive on the roads. And then one other point, for community members in Prattville, Oklahoma, right west of downtown Tulsa, they had a road that they drove for free for the last 100 years. And OTA decided to make that a toll road and upgraded it, made it another lane, shoulders and barriers. And now those people are charged 55 cents every time they get on it to just go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I mean, to go 1.5 miles. That's craziness. What I would do as governor is if there is a toll road inside your jurisdiction of home, where you go to school, shop, and live, then you're given a pass for when you're on that toll road. It is a no charge. we have the technology. If we did that, then I think people in Oklahoma would feel treated fairly.
It would definitely help. I hop on the toll road almost every day, and I feel that pain. Yeah. So, yeah, it would give relief. Want to dive into a couple more issues. One around your banking, obviously connected to the marijuana industry. Sure. You've also been very aggressive in shutting down illegal grows. That's been a highlight of this last year, I would say. But how do you justify the two of these, both your banking industry that appeals to and services the marijuana industry and your aggressive attempt to shut down the illegal grows?
I appreciate the opportunity to break this down. I ran for AG in 2018, and I was hard on all marijuana producers. The guys complying with the law came and met with me and said, hey, right, we're spending $700 a pound to produce marijuana that we can sell for $850 a pound. The illegals are producing it at $200, $250 a pound. And on the black market of New York, they're selling it for $1,000 to $1,200. This is not right. But the guys who are doing it right need a break. Mm-hmm. So I thought this makes sense. So when I ran and so being informed of that, I thought these guys, the legal ones, are being discriminated against, right? So whether you're a wheat farmer, a hemp farmer, a marijuana farmer, they were being discriminated against. So I went to the Federal Reserve and said, hey, I'm going to start banking legal ones. And they go, you're crazy, don't do it. It's going to be highly regulated. We disfavor it. I said, I'm an Oklahoman. I'm going to take care of Oklahomans. So we opened up an avenue through which the legal operator can deposit. We don't touch the money. We have a courier that picks up their cash at the distribution or marijuana growth site and drives it to the Federal Reserve and deposits it. And then they get credit at a bank. And they're highly regulated. They're reviewed. Every depositor is reviewed every month by a regulatory team. The Federal Reserve has come into my bank now twice and the state twice and found everything compliant. Now, on the other side, we've been invaded by illegal operators. Invaded, literally. Over 10,000 illegal Chinese in the state of Oklahoma for the purposes of producing black market marijuana. And we have shut down 10,600 locations in the last 3.5 years, taking billions of dollars of black market marijuana off the street, thousands of pounds of fentanyl. We've disrupted underground casinos, liberated women from sex trafficking, and deported more Chinese than any state in the United States.
Well, I mean, the cleanup has been impressive across the state and very much needed. Of course, we've talked about this ad nauseum, the Wild West that we were for so many years, introducing it without regulation, having to play catch up. Where do you see the industry going moving forward here in Oklahoma?
To those who have invested their life savings and taken out big loans and really are trying to do it right, I don't see us, kind of like your OTA question, if we take that from them, we, the state, are going to be paying them for that legal, compliant company. So that's probably upwards of $1 billion that we would pay out if we shut down marijuana. I think I've established effectively an FBI unit inside the AG office. We also have Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics. We have Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. If those three agencies are properly funded and do their job, we will break the back of organized crime and let only legal operators go forward in Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah, I've talked to some of the mom and pop operators as well, the growers, the dispensaries, and there's concern about, the overregulation, shutting them down. They're doing it legally and legitimately. And so do you feel like the agency, the OMMA, or maybe a different agency needs to grow to serve them better? I mean, I'm just wondering how we serve those mom and pop shops.
I think OBN's cultural philosophy right now is all operators are bad.
Right.
And that's wrong. That's wrong. There are hundreds of legal operators that deserve the protection of the state of Oklahoma.
And like you said, who've invested their life savings into a legitimate business. So.
I've never tried pot, and I never will try pot, right? This is not even a political statement. It's never, my father was a smoker. I never wanted to put anything in my mouth that burned embers, so I've never done that. But they deserve a path. And it doesn't need to be overregulated when we break the back of organized crime and keep them out. Now, interesting, your viewers will love this. The leadership that was in Oklahoma, the Chinese cartel leadership, has migrated to Maine.
Maine's
the new Wild West. Low regulation, low cost of real estate, and they're there.
Okay. Do you feel like we're going to see a turn federally where it's legalized across the nation?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think as long as there's Republicans in the House and Senate, we won't legalize it.
Yeah. Well, let's shift here to a final topic, the Payne County grand jury. Walk me through what happened. A judge approved the grand jury. And of course, this is, I think, the third time around, right? Three attempts at grand jury. This is important to me because I believe this is the heart of the authority of the people, to hold elected officials accountable, hold judges accountable. If we lose the grand jury, then I think that is detrimental to our freedom, our liberty. And so...
and I would add in that state questions. I think the people need to put forward state questions and not have it be so burdensome. But certainly the county grand jury has to be a vehicle through which we are held accountable. So 100%. I'm supportive 100% of grand juries. It's not my fight, but I get drug into these fights, right? So they were suing the district attorney, who's the chief legal officer of Payne County, and several of the judges. So everybody recused out, and Judge Ogden in Oklahoma County, who is a fine, honorable, intelligent judge, oversaw it. He simply applied the math wrong. That's it.
So there's discrimination of two different formulas, right? I mean, are both of them legitimate in different cases? Because I guess the petitioners collected 2,400 signatures. They believe they needed 850. Your office said they actually needed 3,542. So it seemed like there was a difference of opinion on what formula was applied to the situation.
Right. So you have to, and please excuse me because I'm not going to be able to quote statutes exactly, but the statute lays it out exactly. And we were asked to render an opinion on that issue. And actually, before we were able to render it, Judge Ogden caught his mistake. So it was left hand, right hand. He's writing an opinion that he made an error as I'm releasing an opinion that said he made an error. So it was just a function of math. That's it. Okay. So I'm a big believer, just to dispel any curiosity. I think grand juries play a key role in the state of Oklahoma, and you will always see me promote those. We run those for counties across the state when they ask for us. We did one recently in the West. They came in and said, hey, the DA said, I don't have the sophistication. Would you come in and help us? And we said, sure. And we did that. And we adjudicated the grand jury. I believe in it. It's important.
Okay. Well, just final question. What is your passion point? What's most important to Gentner Drummond as far as, top issue when you come into office?
So I will tell you the passion is this. You've heard this story. My grandfather, when I was 14, said, hey, Gentner, we've been richly blessed in this state. We're ranchers. We've always been people of the land. I want you to do two things. Go serve in the military, and I did. 8 years as a fighter pilot. And then he said, when your kids are grown, come back and serve the state. And I will tell you, it has been the richest reward of my professional career to serve as Attorney General. I love the people of Oklahoma. I love working with them. If you're out there and you've asked me a question directly, I answer the questions directly. I think that what we deserve as a state is as a governor that will put Oklahoma first. We've seen 8 years of putting the political elite first.
Yeah,
we have. The political elite don't like me because I bust their elite parties. So where I think, if we go back to Henry Bellman, a farmer who cared about the people in the land, and I am a rancher who cares about the people in the land, I'd love to serve as governor.
Gentner, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you, Jake.